First, when performing a header in soccer, it is essential you contract your body forward by pulling your arms backward. Contracting your body in addition to your neck allows you to snap your body forward to accelerate your head quickly towards the ball, which will dramatically increase the power of your headers. Make sure to head through the ball to ensure even more power and, most importantly, more accuracy. This portion of your heading is easily learned, but being able to judge the flight of the ball to time your jump appropriately takes time and practice. All right, so that second tip is that we want to be hitting the ball with our forehead when we go to do a header. So now notice where my headband is. This is where we want to be making contact with the ball because we don't want to use our head because for most of the flight of the ball, we're not going to have eyes on it. Also, using the top of our head increases the chance that we have some kind of head injury or a concussion. So we want to make sure that we're watching out for that. Now, as a defender, is it ever appropriate to use the top of our heads? Absolutely. If that's the only portion of your head that you can get on the ball, then make sure you do that to deflect the ball slightly so that it messes up all the attacking players on the other team from being able to judge that ball and to get a header or a shot off themselves. So make sure as that ball is getting crossed, you try to use your forehead and make sure you have your eyes open for as long as possible, only shutting them right before you make contact with that ball. So for our third tip, the thing that differentiates a good defender from a great defender is quality judgment, is good judgment. So now you gotta ask yourself, when defending a header, where in relation to the net are you? If you're at the penalty line or further back, then you want to go for the ball, but if you're not going to be able to get the ball and that attacking player is getting their head on the ball, you don't want to make too much contact there, because if you make too much contact, there's a good chance they'll be able to get an easy goal from that penalty kick line because of the foul you committed. Now think about it. If they're taking a header from outside that 18-yard box at the 18-yard line, or even slightly in from the 18-yard line behind that penalty line, your goalie is going to have a very good chance of being able to stop that ball. They're going to have a lot of time. There's not going to be a whole ton of power on the ball, so you don't want to commit a foul there. However, if they're closer to the net from that penalty line in, especially inside that 6-yard box, you need to be a little bit more physical, because if they can perfectly get ahead on that ball, then it's going to be very easy for them to have enough power and enough accuracy that close to the net to be able to score and not give your goalie enough time in order to react. And now, comment yes below if you were guilty, like I was for a long time, because no one ever taught me it and I didn't really take the time to be thoughtful and to think about it. So comment yes if you're guilty of when you went for headers and when you go for headers that you use the top of your head. Whereas if at least 90-95% of your headers you're using your forehead, that correct portion, then comment no below. So now, what to avoid? When heading that ball, you've got to make sure that you're aware of the situation that you're in a game. Okay, if the other team has the ball, their goalie has the ball, and they're doing a drop kick, and you're that last defender on your back line, then it's probably not a good idea for you to go for that ball unless you're 100% certain that you can get it. Because there's a good chance that if that ball goes over your head, you're going to have some of those speedy soccer players that are going to race past you and be able to have a breakaway on net. So if you're not the last defender in your line, say you're playing midfield or you're playing an outside back, then use that opportunity to go up for that header and attempt to get contact with that ball in order to punch it back into the box so your team can keep on attacking. Whereas if you're that last defender, unless you are 100% certain you know you're going to get it, by you jumping up in the air, that's going to take time for you to get back down to the ground and then start to accelerate and to get up to full speed. While there's going to be a defender that's already making that through run, so as if you miss that ball, they're going to be able to have an easy attempt at a 1v1 on your goalkeeper. So we want to avoid that as a defender if we're the last one. All right, so how do we work on this? Well, one thing that you can do completely away from the soccer field or even on the soccer field is work on your jump training. So quarter squats into vertical jumps, jumping off one foot at a time and the other foot at a time, even some weight training, some lunges, some squats, going for power, and if only a few repetitions is going to make you more explosive and more likely to be able to jump higher. But now, ideally, you want to start practicing this alone so that you can get a lot of those mistakes out of the way by yourself so that when you get to practice with your teammates in a game with your teammates, that you'll be looking pretty good and your form will be pretty crisp. If you want to learn more about how to be the best defender in the league, then grab the 5th book in the Understand Soccer series, Soccer Defending, today on Amazon.com using the link in the description below. So now, that pro tip that you waited around for on how to determine your chances of being the best defender on your team. And this one, again, I'm 6 foot tall myself, so there's a decent chance that I can be, but I gotta be honest, I haven't worked on my vertical in a long time, and I never really did as a soccer player because I saw so many other better things that I could do to make myself better than working on my headers. But you've gotta ask yourself, how tall are you? If you're 6'5", there's a pretty good chance that you're gonna be able to get on the end of a lot of headers, and your coach is gonna expect you, so you're gonna get a lot more opportunities to practice it, to work on it, and to develop your ability to get your head on the ball. Whereas, if you're 5'5", going up against people that are much taller than you, then you've got to be honest with yourself and understand that you can improve your skills, but there's a good chance that no matter how high you're able to jump, that 6'5" person is going to be able to out-jump you. So maybe understand that and work on your explosiveness, work on your ability to strike the ball, work on your ability to dribble, work on different abilities. You don't have to be the best at every single thing. Look at Lionel Messi. He's 5'7". He never really heads the ball in the back of the net, and he doesn't even really have that powerful of a shot. So he works on accuracy with the shot, and he works on his ability to dribble and shies away from those things that he's just not that great at, and understands that that's not a really big portion of his game. Now, something to keep in mind. When I was playing high school soccer, I had a person on my team that actually was about 6'5", and I had another person that was about maybe 5'6", 5'7". And that person, from the time they were very young, kept on working on their vertical training, their ability to jump, because they realized they weren't that tall. So by our senior season of soccer, on varsity soccer, they were both able to jump the same, to get up to the ball at the same height, even though the one was almost a foot shorter than the other. So you can do it. It's completely able for you. It's just not going to be as easy for that shorter person than it will be a taller person. So make sure you're being smart, you're being thoughtful with the time that you spend in soccer, on focusing on things you can become the best at, and not caring so much about if you have a few weaknesses, as long as they're up to a certain threshold. So Soccer Squad, I'm asking for feedback. Let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas on how I can make these videos better for you. Also, if you could, let me know if you have any ideas for videos in the future that you'd like me to film. And if you could, hit that like button below, as well as that subscribe button and bell notification icon, to ensure you do not miss out on any future videos on building your soccer confidence.